just after Parshas Hakedoshim here in Eretz Yisrael. And during the week of Hakedoshim in Chutz La'aretz, this is the week where there is a departure between Chutz La'aretz and Eretz Yisrael on terms of which parshios they're reading. They're a week behind us. In general, they're behind us, but that's another issue.
They can't shop and be here soon.
So there's a lot to reflect on, but I hosted a minyan this past Shabbos for those who were in Chutz La'aretz, Israelis who were in Chutz La'aretz, who missed Parshat Acharey that we read the day after Pesach, which was last Shabbos. And we did a make-up reading for them. It was a very long Kohen. Kohen was the whole Parshas Acharey and the beginning of Hakedoshim. And it occurred to me that it's really an extension, what we're experiencing now is an extension of Pesach. And B'nai Yissaschar actually says that in as many words. The month of Iyar that we just begin, today is what? Aleph Iyar, Rosh Chodesh Iyar, today. Has a unique spiritual expression. But it is a tosefes, it is a continuation of what we started on Pesach. So he says symbolically, the Sefer Yetzirah says that the letter Hey represents Pesach, and it is also corresponding to the human ability of speech, of dibur. That's why we have, right, the Arba Lishonos Shel Geula. And however, Iyar is the letter Vav, and it represents thought. Now you might think that it should be the other way around. First speech, and then thought. But he explains, no. There's an initial thought and speech, and then there's a deeper thought. In other words, when you're learning something and you discuss it, after you discuss it, is a deeper level of understanding. And that's why this month corresponds to the mazel of Shiur, which corresponds to the shevet of Yisachar, who is known as Yodea Bina Le'itim. B'nai Yisachar were really the great scholars of the Jewish people. They were the ones who calculated the new moons. They knew the secrets of the deep knowledge of Torah. And they were supported to sit and learn by Zvulun, right? To sit and learn. So they really are associated with the highest levels of Torah scholarship. They're free to sit and learn. They're free from the burden. Leviim also are free from that burden, but they have a lot of responsibility on their own. They have work in the Beis HaMikdash. They have other work, but the difference between a Levi and Yisachar is very important. This is also said by the Or Chaim HaKadosh. He says, there's 4 different levels of Torah acquisition, and they are represented as follows. Some people are non-bearing fruit trees. They're oaks, okay? And then they have a next level, which is like a fruit-bearing tree, okay? And then you have like the branches and you have the fruit itself. Every one of them is important, but some more important than others. But not that they're more important, they act differently. So he says the oak trees are the supporters of Torah. They're the ones who they're not tasked to go out and teach Torah and have profound levels of knowledge. They have to learn Torah like every Jew. But it's not their job in this world to be the experts of Torah or to disseminate Torah. Their job is to what? Eitz chayim hi lemachazikun Torah. A live tree. Not necessarily a fruit-bearing tree, but a tree that provides support, strength. It's maybe the oak trees that provide the protection around the much more vulnerable and smaller fruit trees. Like Zvulun protects Yisachar. You're not going to make boats out of esro trees or olive trees. You're going to sink pretty fast. Or lemon trees. There's just not enough wood. There's not enough. It's much more about leaves and fruit than anything else. Olive wood is, filled with the oil. But oak trees, you're going to build buildings and, arazim, cedars. They provide the structure for the community, the parnasa. But then the next level is people who study Torah, but their main job is to go and disseminate Torah. They're on the move. Those are like the Levium. The Levium lived in 48 cities, scattered all over Israel. And then they went back and forth from the Beis HaMikdash. They were constantly in touch with lots and lots of people. And that's how they made their living also. They had to go out and meet people. Because if they didn't go out and meet people, what weren't they going to get from them? Any miser. 10% of the crop is given to the Levi of your choice. Now, how are you going to choose which Levi to give it to? The Levi, Asher Bisharecha, the Levi who's in your town, who gives Shiurim, who's concerned about your family, your local Orthodox rabbi, your local outreach kollel, educator of your children. That's who you're going to, right? Quid pro quo. They're giving to you Torah knowledge, and you're going to give to them support. But they're out there in the field. Then there's the next level of Torah scholar, which is the posek. The posek sits in the Beis Medrash. Rav Moshe Feinstein's at Pesach didn't have to go anywhere for people for him to disseminate Torah, right? He didn't have to live in Milwaukee or in Orlando or Poway, San Diego. He didn't have to. Didn't have to open a Chabad house. Because he had halachic expertise that people would come to him. His phone would ring. Okay? But he spent a lot of his time interacting with people because Am Yisrael needed him as Posek Hador. You think he was busy? Yeah. You think he had all day long to sit and learn? No. In between whatever he was doing, he learned. I once was at Rabbi Tendler's shul, Shlita, Meir Esrashana, older gentleman now, he's in his 90s. And Rabbi Moshe, his son-in-law, was there for Simchas Torah. Was there for Simchas Torah. And I noticed during the Hakafos, what was Rabbi Moshe doing? He was turning pages like this. I went closer to see what it was. It was Mishnayos. Like this. So everybody was carrying on. He was there, but he was able to take some time for his own review. That's a posek, but they're very busy. But then there's even a higher level of Torah, especially here in Eretz Yisrael, and people who just learn. Just learn. And they're repositories of knowledge, and they may be experts on certain subjects, right? But their contact to the world is maybe very limited. Maybe they write Svarim. You know what I'm saying? So they're not even busy necessarily with conversing with people, but they might communicate through Svarim. A good example, well, Chazon Ish wrote a lot of Svarim, but he was also a manhig. But there were other Gedolim who, you know what I'm saying, that their knowledge was maybe just sitting inside a kollel or some sort of situation. Those are the different levels. Okay, fine. So, however, in Chodesh Iyar, we speak about the knowledge of Torah, which is relevant to its deeper levels. Okay. And that's why Bnei Yissaschar says it's connected to the letter Vav. Vav always means added. Added. You're adding the, and this, and that. So it adds to what was started in Nisan. Nisan, we started a conversation of emunah and faith and growing and understanding that there's mitzvos and how to do mitzvos and Karban Pesach and what do we do when you see Mitzrayim. But then we gotta go, the next stage we went to was Mara, where we sat down and we actually got mitzvos and started studying them and integrating them. Okay. So, the Chodesh of Iyar, a number of things happen. You ready? First of all, it's called a month of refuah, a month of healing. This is the words of Bnei Yissaschar. Chodesh Iyar hu nivchan u'minusa b'chachmas ha-refuah shehu mesugal refuah laharik ha'itstamucha, otherwise known as the stomach. Whatever stomach problems you have, this is the time of year that they can get healed. Laharik ha'itstumaka, to empty out your stomach, mena ifushim, from various infections, chulshas hamara, or the mara, which is the gallbladder, which is part
Is that the organ of the month?
Very good question. The organ of the month is the right kidney.
Which is also inside.
But the kidney does the same idea. It filters out. And it's also connected to chachma. The two klayot are symbolic of wisdom, of flowing wisdom. It says that the kidneys, so to speak, of Avraham Avinu were his fountainheads of knowledge. He was internally connected to wisdom. But Mara he's using here as a metaphor of clearing out poisons. And it says, a very appropriate, post-Pesach, he says he quotes that most illnesses are due to overeating or eating the wrong food. But in this month, the man starts to fall. And man is called lechem abirim in Tehillim Ayin Ches, which means it's in the avarim. It's completely digested, which means there's no waste product. That was one of the things that Bnei Israel did not need the Havdil bathrooms in the Midbar, at least not very many, because the man was absorbed into their limbs. It was it was like a surreal experience, because it's actually lechem, it's the quote-unquote lechem of the malachim. It's such a spiritual level of food that it's almost like pure vitamins, right? Pure. It's absorbed into the system, and there's no excess. But if you eat food in which the vitamins are extracted, and there's still a whole bunch of fiber and material there, it's all got to be evacuated, right? So he says this month is a month in which we go through that process of increased knowledge by filtering out the negative thoughts, negative ideas, poisonous ideas, unholy ideas, unnecessary ideas. And that is the process of Sfiras HaOmer, which makes a lot of sense. When we speak about all of our midos, right? And then each midah then goes through the seder of that particular thing. The week of Chesed, right? We go through each element of Chesed, the Chesed of Chesed, the Gvura of Chesed. So it's a refinement process. We're actually going through a refinement process. Okay. And we know that the Torah was only given, Chazal tell us, to the Ochlei Haman. It's in Mechilta, Medrash. Lo nitna Torah ela le'ochlei Haman. If you didn't eat man, you didn't get Torah. Why? Because since we are going to receive this incredible influx of knowledge, right? We had better clear ourselves out from anything that will confuse us, disturb us, hinder our abilities to absorb. Much like the man has to be absorbed in a clean body, right? Cleans out the body. So too the Torah itself is a healing process. Okay. That's as far as ER. Also, one very important thing, and that'll get us into what I wanted to talk about a little bit, about Pesach and so on. The thing that also started in the month of ER was Miriam's well. And Be'er Torah means that the explanation of the Torah, but the well springs of Torah was dependent on Miriam. Very, very interesting. Why? Why Miriam? Why is she the one who gives us the water to accompany the man as the two elements, life-giving elements that help us prepare, help us clean our minds out, so that we have clarity, we have purity. You know, like they sell you bottled water. What do they call the bottled water? What do they call it? It's called purified water. The water of Miriam was purifying waters. It pured our brains. In fact, when we came out of Kriyas Yamsuf, the first thing we found was bitter water. And what is that place called? Mara. Well, not Mariva, it's later, but Mara. And of course, as we mentioned, it's very, very, seems to be evoking Miriam, whose water started over there. And the sweetening of the waters, which means that Torah became something that people could welcome and receive and not be just rejected like it was by the nations of the world. Why did the nations of the world reject Torah? Why? It's a nice thing, they appreciate it, it's wisdom, they're pretty smart.
Responsibility and
change. And change what? You know, the Romans said, we can't stop murdering, we can't stop killing. That's the way we create our political environment. We don't like somebody, Julius Caesar, boom, he's gone. That's how we do it. Their greatest emperor of all time. And they stabbed him to death because that is Rome. Change is very simple. You take the steel blade and you make change. It's not the ruach. It's nothing to do with spirit. It has to do with power and the ability to control. We don't want to give that up. Eliyahu Navi was told that on Har Sinai. He says that's not the way to go about. You have to spiritually lift people. If you can't lift people, just killing them is not going to be a solution. So let's go back one step to Miriam and Kriyas Yamsuf. We had spoken about this briefly, but I want to recap this because it kind of sets the tone for what I want to say about all the crazy events that are developing us. Like what? Like what? Besides the Poway shooting, which happened on the 7th day of Pesach in Schwartz, which is where they read Kriyas Yamsuf, right? So it was somehow associated with Kriyas Yamsuf. So that's the day. That was, well, actually it wasn't that reading because you read it on the 7th day of Pesach. But for all intents and purposes, the 8th day of Pesach is just an echo of the 7th day of Pesach, is it not? That's what it is. And what happened else since then?
Missiles.
And the missiles coming in, and Nebuch, four Jews dead. Very wide range of Jews. You had a Gerah Chassid and an 80-year-old lady. I mean, just very religious, not really, very diverse, I mean, small, but diverse. But many, many people don't think that there were so few victims. Hundreds and hundreds of people treated for shock, treated for injuries. Hundreds of people, hundreds of lives may have been shattered in some way or traumatized because of this. 300? That's a lot.
More.
It's a lot. 300, 400,
Used to
500.
people being killed from the attacks.
480.
It doesn't happen.
No, yeah, they're getting better at it, right? They're learning techniques to get them through. And the Iron
Or
Dome
we don't
performed
have the
well,
protection.
but we didn't have the full protection that maybe we need to have. Both in Poway and in Sderot. And there was a very interesting link between Poway and Sderot. You know what it was?
The Israeli family.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Two of the victims out of, how many? 4? That were injured. I think 3 were injured, and the rabbi was injured, Rabbi Goldstein, and a man from Sderot and his granddaughter. And on the heels of that, back in Sderot, or area where Ashkelon people were killed. What's the connection? What do you see from that? You can't look at a Jew from Sderot and say, oh, but it will never happen here. We ran all the way from Sderot to San Diego like even below Los Angeles. It's further than Los Angeles. It's all the way, you know that the temperature never changes in San Diego? It's like the most perfect temperature of the entire United States, maybe anywhere in the world. It's like consistently 75 degrees. You can go crazy from boredom. It's 75 degrees every single day. You come from Sderot, you're going to go as far as humanly possible and still stay in civilization. No, sorry, we're all one Jewish people.
There was a woman from Gaza who survived all the attacks there to be killed in a bombing in London years ago.
I think particularly what Hashem is saying to us is that wake up, Yidden. Don't say, oh, the Jews over there in Sderot and Gaza, it's okay if a couple of them get killed and if they sit in bomb shelters, as long as we here in Beit Shemesh and Tel Aviv. I heard one's horrible comment. Somebody says, yeah, but they didn't bomb Tel Aviv. Excuse me? What's the difference? And in Beit Shemesh right here, we did have some excitement, although I kind of slept through it. Probably most of us did, right? There was a siren. My wife told me in the middle of the night there was a siren.
No,
In the afternoon.
Oh, it was in the afternoon.
3:00.
And then there was another siren.
No.
Yeah.
Wasn't there two at night?
At night in
No, I'm talking about the one at night. What?
Beit Shemesh heard it, and the people like in Yad Binyamin, they heard it in the middle of the night. But
That's what I'm talking about.
And
in Gimel,
My wife hears everything.
Gimel they
She can hear all the way
Gimel.
to Yad Yibam.
Rabbi Goldstein said this morning that he saw some fireworks from his Pesach.
Yes.
Just the one on Shabbos afternoon, I heard children making those sounds, and I was thinking our kids only heard one, and it had such an effect on them, and I was
Yes.
thinking about these kids in Sderot. I think it's happening every minute. They hardly go
Constantly.
out of anywhere, and I was just
It is an
thinking
incredibly,
what they go through.
horrifically damaging emotion. My son, who's my kids, we're scared. They don't understand exactly that where everything is geographically. Well, I'm not scared because, excuse me, we had siren Beit Shemesh. He was really, really frightened, and he slept in the Meimad. He said, sleep in the Meimad. And if you hear a siren, we'll come running in. We'll be right next to you. And my other son went to sleep to the room next to the Meimad because they're scared. So, and we're so hardened and calloused from all this again and again and again, but we're not being allowed to. I actually said they broadcast a picture of a little girl. The IDF broadcasted from Sderot, or from Ashkelon, I'm not sure. And she was saying, I can't go on like this. Little slip of a girl, 7 years old. I can't go on like this. What's the matter? He goes, all the time we're running to the shelter. When I go to Savta's house, I have to run to the shelter. When I go here, I have to run to the shelter. She says, I can't go on like this. 7-year-old. Her life, her little life, is completely disturbed. So if the little life is disturbed over there, our life has to be disturbed. Whether you're in Poway or Sderot, or went from Sderot to Poway, I'm sorry, there's really no difference. Klal Yisrael is going through a terrible test of whether we are going to be willing to draw lines between these Jews and those Jews. And that's been, I think, since the disengagement, really horrific. I heard too many people say about this, all right, so, It was like they said, starting all the way back, right, with Yamit. So Yamit, so, and then so this, and then so that, and so that. On the other hand, I think the one, in my article, that appeared on the front page of the 5 Towns Jewish Times, both on Pesach and Chol HaMoed, because there was only one edition, right? So I got 2 weeks on the front page. I wrote about all the things a lot of things we're discussing here, the moonshot and everything, and the truth is that the reaction to the statement about sovereignty that Netanyahu made as part of his election campaign to extend sovereignty to Yehuda and Shamar, which I believe the majority of the Jewish people in Israel want. Right?
Yeah.
I think definitely want it. And it was an incredibly swift reaction from whom? From the Reform and Conservative movement and other political organizations in the States To who? To President Trump. They didn't even talk to the Israelis. They didn't reach out to an appeal to Netanyahu. They went straight to Trump and says, don't do this, please. Do not allow Netanyahu to carry, excuse me? What do you don't want Hebron? You don't want Shechem? You don't want Beit Lechem? It's not important to you? It's not relevant to you? No. And it was so swift coming out. It came out before Pesach, as if they were giving talking points to their congregations for, so then, I mean, I just saw that as such a disturbing, nebuch. It's really nebuch, and it's scary because if they've reached already that point of atrophy, and then what's our hope for that 80% of the Jewish people? Remember, we lost 80% in Mitzrayim. We're supposed to have everybody now. So how are we going to get them if we can't reach them?
The rocket barrage also started on Malchut Shebegorah. Our sovereignty was challenged.
That's right, absolutely. Okay, so I'll put a little bit of thought in context here. Let's go back to Kriyas Yamsuf. Kriyas Yamsuf is always associated with Malchus, right? First of all, it's the seventh day of Pesach. Seventh day always kind of connotes Malchus, right? Shabbat HaMalka. And then we had mentioned, but I'm going to quickly review a number of difficult questions about Kriyas Yamsuf in what the text is. It doesn't make much sense. Number one, Az Yashir Moshe, Chazal tell us, is a reference to the future. Az, when will Moshe sing again? Tchias ha-mesim, when the dead are resurrected. Excuse me, we didn't even start the song yet, and Moshe's already dead and needs to be brought back. Tchias ha-mesim wasn't then, it hasn't happened yet. I mean, except in isolated circumstances, like by Eliyahu and Elisha and other people, and the Tanoim were able to do Tchias ha-mesim. Even the Yaacov was able to do Tchias ha-mesim in the 1800s. Did you know that? Yeah.
But Matan Torah was.
What's that?
And Matan Torah was.
It was. That's right. That's right. It was Tchias ha-mesim. There was the Valley of the Dry Bones. There was like a Tchias ha-mesim moment that the Navi saw. Okay, but the big Tchias ha-mesim, no. Why do we start out the Shirat Hayam with the fact that Moshe is going to die? It's not the. Is that the happy song that we want to sing? Ha, happy! This is not the end of it. If I say to you, okay, we won. No, you didn't. It's over, we succeeded. No, you didn't. We got a long way to go. Is that happy? Is that going to be songs? Number one. Number two, there's another reference to the death of Moshe in the Shirat Hayam. It says, Tiviemo v'titaemu b'har nachlatecha. HaKadosh Baruch Hu will bring us to Har Nachlatecha. Where's Har Nachlatecha? Yerushalayim. Who's not going to bring us to Yerushalayim, at least initially? Moshe. Tiviyeu tita'emo. You, Hashem, but not me. And they were singing this. Chazal tell us that it was like a nevuah, that Moshe was going to be gone. More things that are saying that we're not at the end of the rope yet. It says they had visions of the Beis Hamikdash. Because what does it say? It says, hold on. Where's our Shiur? I mean, Az Yashir here. What words in Az Yashir speak about the future Beis Hamikdash? Nothing to do with Shiras Hayam. Here, take a look. First of all, it says, okay, okay, fine, that's Shiras Hayam. But then we move on. Natite mincha tivlei ma'aretz, fine. Nachita b'chasra, pasuk Yud Gimel in Parak Tesvav. Nachista b'chasra am zu ga'alti, you redeem this nation. Nehalta ve'azacha, with your great power, you bring them, you escort them el nevei kodshecha, to your holy campus, your holy temple. Where's that? Yerushalayim. What is that referring to? Nevei kodshecha is obvious reference to Beis HaMikdash. It could be a reference to Har Sinai, by the way. But most simply, it's referring to the future. So why? Why do we need to know about that right now? Isn't that a downer? Okay. And then it says, Az, again, way into the future, Az nifalu alufei Edom. Edom, we're not anywhere near Edom. Where we're going to have, why is Edom going to be scared? Because Va'alu Moshim Har Zion, right? And what's going to be? There's going to be a din on Lishpot et Har Esav. This is referring to the final judgment day. Tipa Aleim Emasam Apachad. It's referring to Palashet, the Palestinians. They're all going to be melting. Why are they going to be melting? We're not anywhere near them. We're very far from them, right? This is talking about the future. So why is this? Again, Tiviemo v'titaemo b'har nachlascha machon l'shiftecha pa'altanai mikdash anai konei decha. The Pirkei Avos quotes this as the source for the fact that Hashem is the koneh of the Beis HaMikdash. Mikdash Hashem konei decha. And then it ends, Adonai yimloch li'olam va'ed. God will rule forever and forever. Excuse me. So that's one problem. It speaks about the death of Moshe, the future, the end days. Why? Secondly, second big problem. Why do we need Miriam's song altogether? Why did Miriam also sing?
Is it because she did the nevuah about Moshe?
Aha. So very good. Because what does the pasuk say? Vatikach Miriam Hanavia Achos Aaron. She's called the sister of Aaron. So Rashi says, wait, what do you mean she was a Navi? What nevuah did she have? She had the nevuah that there was going to be a child born that would save the Jewish people, right? A savior would come to the Jewish people. Really? So then what does that have to do with Kriyas Yamsuf? What do we need her now? What did she sing exactly? First of all, what did she take with her? Tof biyada. Tof are little tambourines or drums, right? Vatitzena kol hanashim achareya. Bitupim, that's again the tof. Mecholos. Mecholos is not an instrument. Mecholos is circles of dancing. Tupim is an instrument. She knew to bring tupim. Says Rashi, Muftachos hayu tzidkanyo shebedor shakosh baruch hu osa lahem nisim. V'otziu tupim mitzrayim. But not mecholos. Mecholos are not an instrument. They're a circle dance. Okay. Why do we need this for? First of all, let's ask a few halachic questions. What's the problem with Miriam singing and leading circle dances? Kol Isha! Now, you'll ask me, but Kol Isha never, only came later. It's not true, because Chazal would never implement a halacha that went against something mefurash in the Torah. If the Torah says it's okay, they're not going to come and say that it's not okay. So what happened to Kol Isha? All kinds of answers. Some say that's why she took the tupim, to dress